myself and Mr. Fail. Can I get an approval of the old minutes?
Make a
I'm the
motion.
alternate.
Are you the alternate?
You
I'm moving up.
No. you can't
Oh,
move.
yeah, you are the alternate. Yeah.
I make a motion
So
to accept okay.
to accept the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes have been approved. Now to our new business. We have the continuation of the discussion for the proposed future site for fire station number 5.
So this was to discuss, good afternoon, council. This was to discuss the RFP process and kind of expectations both in language and process. First item for consideration is that Mr. Bobbitt and I were discussing the property would, for private sector use, need to be rezoned. It's zoned, I believe, institutional right now. I'm a believer that if you do want to move forward in RFPing the site, it probably needs to be proactively rezoned, so that way if there is an interested party, one, you know what the conditions of what they can put there. Two, it's already prepped and ready for that user, and so if they want to transact quickly, that business has been done. That's typically an 8 to 10 week process, so you don't really want that on the tail end usually. You usually want that on the front end. That would be a consideration to throw out. The next item, and I would assume we're going tax producing. We can get with Ms. Kreitz, but something I'd imagine in that general vein of general commercial, right? Something that's probably automotive in nature. Typically, and Mr. Bobbitt is here and we've discussed, he can articulate some of the language, but usually what we put in is something that's tax producing, sales tax producing, would be conforming with the existing zoning, and then if there's some things you maybe don't want to see within that zoning district, acknowledge that you don't want to see those, or any requests for residential, apartments, etc. Right? So you can design it with what you want to see and exclude what you don't. And that's traditionally how we've done it in the past for other more downtown centric properties. Questions or thoughts?
So when you say RFP, you're now talking about the RFP to sell the property,
Yes, sir.
check?
And so legal has approximately, and I'm making it to over 100 at this point. They keep almost a comprehensive list. Mr. Bobbitt and I've been doing this probably 12, 15 years. We've been keeping up with it. So that's regional, local. It would also be posted on the website. We would send it out ourselves individually, but I can guarantee there's well over a list of 100 entities and or individuals that would receive that correspondence.
All right, and so what
Mr.
the
Fails
committee,
actually already had somebody reach out.
what the
about
committee's
it.
been asked to consider today is whether to pre-zone a change in the status of
I
that.
don't want to use the word pre-zone. I would say maybe get it to an appropriate zoning district if you want to move forward with selling it.
What's it zoned now?
Institutional.
Institutional.
So think of it this way: the private sector would not have a direct use for it,
Okay, gotcha.
right? And so there's nothing that fits into their kind of use table, right?
So if somebody wanted to put a garage in there, we'd have to change it.
You have to change it. And so then you think, okay, I've RFP'd it, I've responded, most people want to know what it's zoned, what's allowed. You get to the altar, so to speak, and everybody's ready to turn their keys, and uh-oh, we got an extra 10 weeks because we had to go back and get it zoned for the use. I'm not saying we have to make a decision walking out of the committee today, but it is about a 10-week process, depending on when you sequence it. I would put that in your decision making, just because it has to go to planning commission ultimately.
So what would be the new zoning?
That's something I would talk to Ms. Kreitz about. I would just find the appropriate category for the area, or her team would. I would think it'd probably be something like general commercial or something like that.
If the university were to take it, it would remain institutional.
That would be up to them. They have a mixture, actually. They have, depending on, well, theirs is very centric to whether it's mission centric or is it different in their portfolio.
What is it? Core
Mission, that's
core
right.
mission. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So if it's core mission, yes. If not, it may
Sounds good.
be more traditional.
Chick-fil-A.
And you don't necessarily have to make a decision today. I just don't. I don't want us to get to the end and we've got a deal going or something, and all of a sudden we got a zoning issue, and I'm not comfortable with the language.
I think it's good to plant it in our awareness. I don't know.
And if you'd like, what we could do is distribute something out to council in advance. Have appropriate zoning district. We could do basically your permitted use table. What is allowed, what's not. Drop in that draft language. If you bless it, we could release the RFP and then initiate the rezoning process. So it's not.
I like that
complicated.
idea. I mean, because I'm interested in the making sure that we know what we want there.
Yeah, it's what you're gonna want ultimately, because you're gonna be agreeing to, I'm selling it to X to get Y, right?
The obvious would be another car dealer or a garage. I mean,
Something like that,
I
I
guess you
do,
can tear it down and do what you want to do.
I'm not, I would think something fuel or vehicular centric is always possible in that area. But I think it's still Chairperson Howard's, you want it to match up with zoning and also have the council be good with the use that's gonna be there.
There's a very large vacant lot across the road from
Mhm.
there.
That belongs to Bob Watley.
Oh, really?
Bob Watley bought that.
Really?
Yes.
Do you know if they have plans?
Have they been in ownership of it long?
2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And the good news with what we're describing, no cost. RFP doesn't have any cost. The rezoning for the city wouldn't have any direct cost other than staff time, maybe some minor advertising, but you're talking about something that if you want to change midstream, you can, and there's no negative aspect with it, right? So if y'all want, we could prepare a brief for you with appropriate zoning district, aerial map, full building specs, what you would think of as a traditional kind of real estate overview. Provide that back over to this group and see what path you want to take, and just make sure, because we do need to know left or right on the rezoning. But that would be something Ms. Wright's not going to hammer out in a couple days.
I would like to see some ideas on that.
And there may be something, the reason I mentioned there may be something you say, ooh, I'd like to see that, but I don't want to see this. And Mr. Bobbitt and I would sit down and make sure that's included in the RFP.
Okay.
And with Mr. Fail, we thank you. We've already talked to a couple of individuals and gotten them added to the list.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions?
I don't have any further ones.
Thank you. We'll get you a brief put together.
If there's nothing else on that agenda item.
I have
Yes,
a
Mr. Bessie?
comment, not business. So I would like to ask that we resume at least a quarterly presentation by TPD on the manpower situation. That would be number one. I think that's good. Certainly, and as we move towards, one of the considerations on the capital projects was another 1,085,000 of cars. Those two travel together, and I'd like to resume seeing that. The second thing was, I just need there's something going on 15th Street between Bowhiller Drive west to about almost to Forest Lake that appears to be a coffee shop that is doing business like nobody, but it stops traffic in the far right lane of 15th Street. And they're back. If I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't believe it. I mean, people are lined up at night to buy coffee, which is, yeah, that's great. But if you're going 45 down 15th Street, down 3 lanes, you don't expect to come to a dead stop traffic jam. Would y'all
We've got the
please?
same problem at Starbucks out across from
On
Home Depot.
veterans.
And again, I was driving down there at 7:45 at night. I don't ever go down there. And I thought, what in the world? I thought it was a traffic accident. But Chief, if y'all would have somebody just check it out. It's
It is 7 Brew. They're popular. Ms. Standards and I are very happy about their revenue production for us. They're exceeding expectations.
it's got to be killer because, again, they were backed around all the way through a winding drive-in,
And
out around the corner, and then down 15th Street
we
going
have
east.
more coming. What I think we'll do, Councilor Busby, is maybe get Mr. Gardner with Chief, because it went through a full permitting process. With that being 15th Street, it would have been AlDOT, so I think also it might be good to loop in Mr. Gardner with Chief, because they had to go through a full site development, traffic analysis, et cetera.
Well,
So
think about the one across from Home Depot too. That's Starbucks.
Yes.
Whatever it is.
and Mr. Crow is also getting a Starbucks.
Well, we need several more, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. We'll get that closed out. Chief.
Okay. Is there anything else to come before this meeting? One thing that I did want to say, and I spoke to the mayor about yesterday concerning the homicide that we had this weekend. I've heard from the street committee that parties take place in storage units, and so that is Yeah, that was my first time hearing about it. So I would just like to know if there's something we can do from a zoning aspect or legal aspect to make sure that that's not happening in places where it's not permitted.
They rent a storage unit
Yes.
to have a
Yeah.
party?
Yes.
Yeah, that was my first time hearing about it.
Most of the time, storage unit owners will contact us and you can deal with it, or they'll trespass. If this is being condoned, then that gets us into a different approach. And so it's on my staff meeting notes for later this week,
Thank
because
you.
based off your and our conversation yesterday, Ms. Howard.
Thank you so much, because I got calls about it and I was shocked that that would be taking place.
And
So-
some living in them too.
I'm happy that that makes sense today. So if there's nothing else, Mayor,
Yes, ma'am. I would request an executive session to discuss a safety-sensitive matter. I'll ask Mr. Bobbitt if he would to certify.
Yes, sir. This session is to discuss security plans, procedures, assessments, measures, or systems, or the security or safety of persons, structures, facilities, or other infrastructures, including, without limitation, information concerning critical infrastructure as defined by federal law and critical energy infrastructure information as defined by federal law, the public disclosures of which could reasonably be expected to be detrimental to the public's safety or welfare.
We don't have any other further business that would come after the executive session if the committee approved it.
so on that note, can we have a motion in a
Motion.
second?